Oh,
frames
wow.
it like this. So the question is this: more likely the Cowboys bring their A game, or
You don't need it.
You're gonna be done the rest of it.
their F game. Those are the options.
What?
This is an A with a tomato can.
I think that's the one he wants.
Right,
I
that
think
means
that's
they
what
beat
he's
a
going
tomato
to
can?
give him.
Yeah, put that on there.
Yeah,
Rob.
I think
That's perfect.
Yeah, I knew that's what he wanted.
Wow.
I'll take this off. It'll be confusing.
Yeah,
For the audience. Go ahead.
This is a layup if I've ever seen one.
See, I know.
It's a breakaway dunk, a free throw. I mean, we know what the Giants are, tomato cans, and we know what the Cowboys do to tomato cans. They live for these games. So I expect a blowout of massive proportions.
Really?
I expect Dak to go 300 plus and 3 TDs at least. I expect Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and the rest of the front line to be all over Daniel Jones. I'm even expecting Rico Dowdle or Deuce Vaughn or Zeke maybe to have a nice run or two.
Okay, well.
All right, CeeDee Lamb bounce back game. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, CeeDee's back. CeeDee said he was going to look in the mirror. Oh, Micah's back and all of that. All right. So, yes, they are going to have an A game against the tomato can. And if they don't, here's the thing. The question was bring their game.
Oh.
Even if I don't think they will, but even if they lost, even if it's a close nip and tuck game where they edge it out at the end, I still think they will have brought their A game. It will just mean, Nick.
Oh, that's a good take.
This year, their A game's not good enough.
Okay.
Their A game's not much.
But,
so I think their antennas are up.
Yeah.
They've lost their last two. This is a team they know they own. They are coming to play. And if that's not enough, Nick, it's a bad sign for the rest of the season.
That I totally agree with. But I just want to ask a question before I give my answer. If they do what you said at the beginning, it won't mean anything to you, correct?
No.
Then, and I'm not trying to conflate topics. I know we're going to talk Jets in a moment.
Yeah.
But it seems odd to me how much faith was instilled by you and most of America for what the Jets did to the Patriots and a pre-dismissal of if the Cowboys do something similarly to the Giants.
Right.
I think the Giants are better than the Patriots, but they're put them in the same.
I'll tell you what the difference is, and then we'll let the clip play. The difference is that this is what the Cowboys historically have always done for years against the Giants. Whereas what the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers, it's different because they're trying to see what can Aaron Rodgers be with the New York Jets. We had not really seen it, right? We only saw it with the 49ers initially. And so that's why it was a big deal, because it was like, look how Aaron looked. Aaron can return to form, return to who he was. Is he fully recovered? Is he mobile? What's his Achilles look like? First of all, we saw him be mobile. We saw what the offense can look like. We were seeing things that you have never been able to see with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. This, on the other hand, with the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, is a tale that we've been seeing play out for years and years and years. And we know with an incredibly high level of confidence that it means nothing. That them beating up on the Giants and putting up all these numbers has never been an indicator of how good the Cowboys actually are. That is the fundamental difference.
Bucket of tomato cans, if you will. And it's not as if the Jets have a long history of postseason success, so they are judged by a different standard. But my answer is the A game, clearly. And I also think this show as a whole is a little too down on the Cowboys. I think that Brew has been consistently down on the kind of level of skepticism with them, I should say, the last few years.
Well learned.
And Wilds yesterday called them a fish that looks like an old rubber shoe in the lionfish.
That's not exactly.
I can't do it exactly the way you did it.
I never want to see a lionfish. I'll tell you that.
They're not good.
Yeah,
You said they look bad.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So you brought up Dak against the Giants. We could take that larger to Dak against his own division, where for the quarterback wins, folks, only Patrick Mahomes has been more dominant against his own division in NFL history than Dak against the NFC East. Those have not always all been tomato cans.
Again, this is all so misleading. And this is unfortunately just been the reality of Dak Prescott's career, right? The NFC East, it was during a time when the Commanders have been nothing. The New York Giants have been nothing. And the Eagles were transitioning from a new quarterback to resting starters to injuries. I've already highlighted Dak Prescott's career versus the Eagles. When you actually look at it more closely and see who he's beating and when he's beating them, multiple years it was when the Eagles were either sitting their starters, sitting their quarterback, whether because they were on their way into the playoffs, already locked up the seed to go to the Super Bowl, or injuries like Jalen Hurts being injured, going up against Minshew. I think against Minshew multiple times. So again, it's just very misleading, quite frankly, to use this as a frame of reference. When the reality is if you want to look at it, Dak Prescott has won the division, I think, 4 times, whereas a team like the Eagles have won it 3 times, where they've, again, had to transition to a new quarterback. So the Cowboys have obviously had that level of consistency. But to use this as an explanation for how amazing the Cowboys are, or why this will be likely that they're going to beat the Giants, I think is just silly. Now, if we want to make the argument that the Giants are just as bad as they've been for the last X amount of years, then that's totally fair game, right? Then I totally understand that. But to me, that would be the better argument rather than using this, which is just like, I just think it's misleading at best. It's not to say that Dak and the Cowboys don't, beat the other NFC East teams, because of course they do. And again, more power to them. But I'm just not so sure what the point that's being trying to driven home, because again, do you think that this is going to continue against the Washington Commanders now that they have Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and Jaden Daniels? I do not believe that to be the case. Now, the Giants, are they actually better? Are they better? Like Greg Jennings believes that the Giants are significantly better. If they are, they aren't. I don't really have a strong opinion, honestly. But that's why I just take an issue with, going back to like 2016, 2017. And it's like, what does that actually matter? It doesn't.
Through. It's impossible
Philly.
for his
That's
career.
essentially.
Philly, and over the course of his career, you had a Washington playoff team. You had a couple Giants playoff teams. They haven't
been consistently.
Right,
and they were
Philly's
not
the only one that's been
good.
consistently good.
It was
so I kind of
Such
want
nonsense.
to. You're right, Wilds. They haven't looked good the last 2 weeks. There's no doubt about it. Can you name? And I'm not. This is more rhetorical. I'm not putting you on the spot. 7 teams in the league that are definitively, without a doubt, better than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Because I couldn't. I tried. Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Green Bay, Detroit, Baltimore, and you're going to say you have to include New Orleans because they played them and beat them, so fine.
Maybe.
But I don't even know. But I'll just fine.
I would say Philly.
I don't think Wilds would say Philly. I don't think he would say. I think the
San Francisco, I know that they've looked.
I don't think they're right
Yeah,
this
the
year.
49ers.
I don't think they're definitively better.
The Vikings.
I don't even.
I would add. I mean, I know that the
They're
crux of this argument is past success versus what I've seen.
No,
in the
that's
last
fine.
3
Vikings.
games. But I'm
Okay.
adding the Vikings and I'm adding the Seahawks until they lose.
And you're adding the Steelers too, then.
I'm adding the Steelers.
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's okay.
The Bills, the Vikings, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Eagles, the Lions, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Jets, Seattle. Those are just the teams that I have listed for another previous top 10. That's not my exact top 10 because the Texans aren't even in there as well. It had the Texans. So there's plenty of teams that are legitimately, definitively, undeniably better than the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay,
this has gone off.
No, that's
And the
hold on.
Cowboys have
Let's
won one
just.
game,
That's
so
not
you
so.
tell me.
I don't even think Dallas is a state champ. I throw in Houston.
But I don't think you can say. Here's the thing. I don't think you can say Houston has definitively been better than the Cowboys this year. I don't think you. I don't think you can.
The Cowboys got blasted
Houston got blasted
at
this week.
home.
Houston got blasted.
Not like
what do you
the
mean,
Cowboys
34 to
did
7?
by
34 to 7 is pretty
it's
bad.
not 44 to 19.
Well, you're right.
And they were down
44 to
28.
19 for the record is closer.
I'd rather
than
not
34
give
to
up
7.
44 points.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's fine. I'd rather not score only 7. But they both got blasted. So the point that I am trying to make is this. I thought, by my math, there were 5 teams that I confidently feel are, without question, better than the Cowboys at the moment, and one of them is 1 and 2 in Baltimore. Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, Baltimore. There's probably only also 5 teams that are definitively worse than the Cowboys. I think they are in this mushy middle of the NFL right now. And I thought
so funny.
your commentary on them, to me, is too definitive, that we know they're bad. We can't say we know they're good, but I don't think we know they're bad.
I think you also think Cincinnati's better than them. Is that fair?
Oh, I definitely think Cincinnati's
do.
better than them, but
Cincinnati doesn't have. If you look at Cincinnati's stats, they're not last in a lot of stuff. Like the Cowboys.
Cincinnati's defense pretty bad.
But not last.
Yeah, they're not as
I mean,
bad.
nobody's last if the Cowboys are last.
Well, they're really
last.
running the
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
It's the double whammy of not being able to stop the run, not being able to run the ball, so Dak doesn't get the ball. I just feel like it's a chain reaction of bad. We can't run. Okay, so Dak has to have short drives. We can't stop the run, so they've got long drives. And so when Dak does have the ball, they're 27th in time possession. So it's just this chain reaction
don't you think
of
that
badness.
chain reaction, and I think Brew agrees with me here on this. I am sorry for talking too much. I'll give you the ball back. That chain reaction at times will go in the exact opposite direction. They will play a good first quarter, get out to a lead. The other team will then not be able to just run the ball.
Okay, the cope here is tough, man. This is tough. Because he's saying there's no evidence to believe yada 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 with the Cowboys, and that just makes no sense because he doesn't offer that same level of grace, shall I say, to other teams, right? Like the Philadelphia Eagles, like the Vikings, like even the Packers. Like it just doesn't really make sense to me because the evidence is clear of what the Cowboys have been able to do and what they've been doing. And Nick famously always wants to keep using the second half of the season to paint why the Eagles are so bad and why they're collapsed and why there's no evidence to believe that they're a good team this season. But then look at the Cowboys where they are getting, what is it now? 3 out of their last 4 games, they got demolished dating back from the Packers, the Ravens, and the Saints. Right? In their last 4 games, they only beat the lowly Browns, who are an awful team. So this idea that there's no evidence to believe that not to mention, I understand sometimes a team can beat another team and it doesn't automatically mean that they're better than them, right? Like you can absolutely have a team that beats another team and they still didn't prove that they're better just because they beat them, right? I definitely 1000% agree with that. So me and Nick are in agreement with that. But it has to be within reason. If the Cowboys were rolling and beating a lot of other great teams and their defense looked great, their offense looked great, everything was looking great, and then they got beat by the Saints really badly, then you could argue, yeah, that was just one of those weird games. It just happens. The game got out of control real early. The Saints were just so hot. Like, you can make those arguments without a doubt. You can't do that when you put everything else into context. How else this team is playing. And in the way that they lost. It was just very clear in that game that the Saints were just superior than them in really every single aspect of the game, right? It was just very, very obvious. And then to follow that game up against the Ravens and continue the trends, it's not just the points. You just continue the poor play like the defense, like they highlighted, to continue that against the Ravens. That's when it's all like, well, this is now not an outlier. This is a trend. This is who you actually fundamentally are. That, to me, is where the difference can lie. I'm trying to think of any other examples with regards to that. And again, it's not to say that the Cowboys are this awful trash team, but to say that you can't definitively say that there's not like 5 or so teams better than the Cowboys, I mean, like that doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't. Who do you have more trust in today? The Bills or the Cowboys? The Chiefs or the Cowboys? The Packers or the Cowboys? The Lions or the Cowboys? The 49ers or the Cowboys? The Ravens or the Cowboys? right? I mean, like the Texans or the Cowboys. Like you know the answer. And if you're a Cowboys fan, there's no way that you're going into any of those games feeling confident that you're the better team, that you're confident that you can beat them. You might believe that they can beat them, that it's possible, because of course anything's possible. The Falcons almost beat the Chiefs, right? Like anything's possible. The Ravens almost beat the Chiefs. The Bengals almost beat the Chiefs. The Commanders beat the Bengals, right? Like, so like technically anything's possible, but it's where is your level of confidence? Are you confident that if the Ravens played the Chiefs again, that the Ravens would be able to pull off that win? To me, the answer is no. So then I'm like, the Chiefs are better than the Ravens. Do I think that the Ravens can beat the Chiefs? Of course. Do I think if they play in the playoffs, is it possible? Absolutely. I don't know what, they could probably beat them 1 out of 4 times. Are we going to see that one time that they win in the playoffs? I don't know. Right? And so that's where when you're talking about, how definitive can you be about a team? And definitively, I don't see what the Cowboys do well right now and why they deserve to belong with the team. We know the Packers are a really good team, and we saw, say, the Eagles compete with them. We saw the Saints blow out the Cowboys, and then we saw the Eagles beat the Saints. At the very minimum, compete with the Saints on a level that you didn't see the Cowboys do. Right? Like, to me, those are the fundamental differences that really highlight the deficits of the Cowboys. So this idea that they're really maybe not as bad or definitively as bad as some other people are making it out to be, I think it's a combination of wishful thinking and a combination of, well, what do we mean by bad? Are we saying that the Cowboys are as bad as the bottom tier team? Because I'm not going as far as to say that either. I think that they're a good team, and they're still a team that maybe if they were able to get themselves into the playoffs, they're not a team that you're just like, oh, I can't wait to play the Cowboys, because they are capable of putting together a good competitive game and win. But in this idea that if we're going to be forced to rank these teams and forced to be able to say, who do we have more confidence in? I don't see how you could have any confidence in the Cowboys. I just don't see it. And I'm really actually excited for this game. Usually a game like this, Cowboys versus Giants, I'm like, who cares, right? Because the Giants have been so bad for so long. But now, since we're trying to figure out how bad are the Cowboys, it's going to be really interesting. Because, right, if they struggle, if they lose to the Giants, that's going to be wild, right? Like, it's going to be like, that'll be Cope City, and it'll be fascinating to see. If they roll the Cowboys, I agree with what Bruce's saying. It's going to be like, we're back, we know what to do, and all this, and everyone's going to be like, have the Cowboys, right? The questions are going to be, have the Cowboys found their footing? Are they on track? Still believe Cowboys can reach the NFC Championship game, right? It's just going to be nonsense. And if it's a competitive game, it's going to be, I think that's a bad sign as well to a large degree because of what the Cowboys have been able to do. So that's why, like, to me, this game actually has more layers than it's had previously, because I can learn so many different things. But the one thing that I won't have a takeaway is if the Cowboys blow out the Giants. Like, that would not be enough information considering what I saw them do against the Saints and the Ravens and the Browns. So that's like the only thing that I wouldn't really learn anything new from the Cowboys. But if it's a close game, or if the Cowboys lose, or the Cowboys get rolled, or any of those other things, then that would be more new, interesting information to continue to evaluate this team. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys think about the Cowboys? Do you think that they're definitively not as good as Nick thinks they are? Do you think that he's right in terms of there's not many teams that are definitively better than them? What do you think is also more likely, the Cowboys bring an A game or an F game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.